record button. That way we can record this for anybody that registered that might not have been able to make it. So Angie, obviously blessed and honored to be here. You've become a dear friend. Obviously you're just a testament to what we teach. You live it, you breathe it. You've gone through some things recently that have challenged you, and you're coming out the other end smiling and shining. So it's a real testament to the material. And guys, everything we're going to talk about here tonight, none of it's my information. I've been a really good student. I'm one of Bob's, mentees, or one of his top coaches in the world, but it's not my information. You'll see in the image here on the screen, there's, Bob Proctor and Earl Nightingale and Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie. There's a lineage of this information. I just happen to be in the lineage, but there's no such thing as new material. It's just people tapping in to understand different things. So you guys will get the recording. Feel free to take notes, but it's going to be like drinking from a fire hose a little bit of information overload. So we will get you guys the replay, but more than happy to do this for you, Angie. You've been so gracious with us, and you've just been really the ideal client. You're open, coachable. You do exactly what we ask, and it's just been a blessing to work with you. So with that, guys, I'm going to get started. And the reality here, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. 95% of wealth is going to be mindset. This sounds like a big number. It's only about 5% what you do. In other words, it doesn't matter if you're a stock trader like these people here, or a stock trader like Warren Buffett, right? It's the same vertical, same industry, but a different what? It's a different mindset. Some of you might be in real estate, and there's probably 50 million realtors around the world. There's over 300 million network marketers, by the way. And you might be like one of these people, or you could be like Grant Cardone and be in real estate, and love him or hate him, he's controlling like 2.2 billion in real estate. And he didn't really even get started till his mid-40s. So there's a different mindset. Now, he can't explain his own mindset. He's not an expert in the mind. He's an expert in real estate. What we are is experts in the mind. And when I say we, I'm pointing back to that lineage. You could be like these people here. This is Eric Worre's GoPro. It's funny, this picture, I'm somewhere down in one of the front rows. It's too blurry to see, but there was like 10,000 people in this room, and there's over 300 million around the world. You could be like, these people here, or you could be like my friend Alex, who's, crushing over 2 million a month, 30 years old, same industry, different mindset, right? And the reason I use Alex is because he trains one-on-one with Bob as well. Hopefully this slides right here show you that it doesn't really matter what you're doing. It matters your mindset back behind it. I can teach somebody weaving baskets to monetize that globally and turn it into a 7-figure year business. And I don't say that to impress you. I just know how this works. Now, I didn't know how this worked for the first 42 years of my life. I was rowing the same boat of ignorance. I was an engineer, I was an architect, a builder, and just with average results, So you should feel good about that too. I'm nobody special. It's just I got in front of a mentor, and I got in front of a proven system. And there is a reason why 96% of the world's wealth is earned by less than 1% of the population, right? Think about this. I didn't make these numbers up. 1% of the planet, less than 1%, is controlling 96% of what goes on, right? And the reason is we're just simply not taught how to build wealth in schools. And, Angie was in the school system. She can tell you, I'm not here to beat up on the school system. I'm an engineer. I just look at results. 93% of people get to retirement age and they can't retire. They went through kindergarten, grade school, high school, college, worked 40 years. They still can't retire. So that's just blindly obvious that the system we have is not working. And for those of you that are in network marketing, that's why you're in network marketing. It's outside of the norm. It's leveraged. It's scaled. It's not the employee mindset. But we're not taught decision-making in school. We're not taught self-image. We're not taught wealth building, certainly. A good example of this, if we were taught wealth building, even in grade school, they'd start to teach you a little bit about real estate and maybe even using the Monopoly game or something, but you would learn that stuff early. You would certainly learn about a checkbook. You'd learn about self-image. You can teach an 18-year-old kid to work at a grocery store, save his pennies for a few years, invest in a 3-family, live on the bottom floor, rent out the first 2, and be cash flow positive and equity positive, never having gone to college, and just keep doing that over and over again, and be a multimillionaire by age 30. And when I talk about money, guys, it's not about money, right? Money is just it's an easy indicator, right? It's just an easy indicator. It's never about the money. It's always about what the money can do for your quality of life. If you're somebody that loves to help people, it's hard to help a lot of people on 100K a year. On 100K a week, it gets a lot easier. Your reach just expands. You can buy back your time. You can start charities, you can be philanthropic. So you're going to hear a lot about numbers, but that's just because the mind relates to numbers, not because it's all about money. And the biggest thing, guys, and Angie alluded to this, is we're not taught what paradigms are. So I'm going to spend a minute here on paradigms because if you don't know what these are, then it's hard to change them, right? How do you change something when you don't know what it is? And it's really changing your mind. A paradigm is really just a fancy word we use to describe the set of mental programs that have almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. I'm going to say this a few different ways, right? You have a subconscious mind, and when you're born, it's wide open to suggestion. So a paradigm is all of the mental programs that have been given to you by other people since birth that are controlling all of your results. You know, a good example is no one here ever chose to speak English. That was just spoken around you when you were an infant. It went right into the subconscious mind, and you stored a program called speaking, right? So think of this, a multitude of habits. It's actually a multitude of mental programs stored in the subconscious mind from your environment that you never chose. Now, this happens with religion. It happens with what you believe is possible. It happens with toxic relationships, income. It happens with everything. When I grew up, we were taught that if you can just break 6 figures, you're really crushing it. And I know 20-year-old kids that do that on a daily basis now, trading on the internet. It's all relative to your environment, right? And again, I don't say that to impress you. I just say that because that's what it is. And it's more to impress upon you. Once you understand this stuff, you can craft literally the life you want to live: health, wealth, happiness, love, relationships, finance, whatever you want. Once you get the keys to who and what you are, you can rewrite the whole script if you choose to. And then the only thing is, what would you like to revise? You know, I'm not sitting here saying anything's wrong with your life, but if you look at it and say, geez, I'd like a better this. I wish I had more of that. You know, I wish I was more disciplined. You can write these programs. We're going to show you how to do it. So think of your subconscious mind like an operating system in a computer. It's a really easy way to get a relation. A brand new computer has no programs. That is a blank operating system. And it's not until you load Adobe and PowerPoint and Word and Excel that the computer has some functionality, right? Same thing with walking and speaking and eating and driving a car. These are all programs stored in your subconscious mind. So you probably don't remember when you learned to walk. I certainly don't, but that's the same way. We learn through what we call a trial and error process. And it's the relationship between the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the body. And the subconscious mind, it's a mechanism. It's a supercomputer. It's designed to store programs. So if you look at this little baby, you know, a baby goes to take a step because it's trying to mimic its parents. And when it falls over, it hurts and it gets negative feedback. So the subconscious mind says, don't store that. But then when the baby takes a step and it's successful, the subconscious mind stores that as part of a program we call walking. Does that make sense, guys? Throw some fire in the chat. I just want to make sure I'm not losing anybody here. But these programs, they really, they apply to everything, right? So this is how you learn to walk. This is also how we learn to smoke, right? Smoking is not a physical habit. It's a mental program expressed physically. I want you to let that sink in, especially if you're a smoker. This is why it's so hard to quit. People are physically trying to stop, just throw the cigarettes out. You have to replace the mental program controlling the muscles in what we call the habit. Going to the gym is a habit. All of these things are habit, and wealth building is a habit too. You know, when Warren Buffett wakes up, he doesn't think about building wealth. He just builds wealth. Some people wake up and smoke. He wakes up and builds wealth. Subconscious mind wouldn't know the difference. Does that make sense, guys? Once you start to understand this stuff, it's like, holy cow. Now I want to start programming what's going to serve me. So these are all mental programs. All right, guys, that's a little bit about paradigms. And again, none of this is my information. There's books, Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. There's Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. I mean, there's just volumes and volumes of information backing everything that I'm saying here. Like I said, I've just been a really good student. So I want to chat a little bit about levels of awareness. And this usually hits home with people. And again, I'm going to use numbers because it's easily relatable. If somebody's earning $50,000 a year, they're not earning $50K a year because that's what they want. They're earning $50K a year because that's what they're aware of how to earn. That makes sense. And even $100K, nobody's earning $100K a year because that's what they want. They're earning that because that's what they're aware of. They might be at a job, maybe even a job, might have network marketing on the side or something. It might be a combination of income. and even 250K a year, right? Nobody's earning that because that's what they want. That's what they're aware of. Now, they might start to get comfortable here and start to say things, well, I'm doing okay. I'm doing good enough. I don't really need more. But the fact of the matter, if you really get to what they want, well, geez, I'd love $1 million a month. I mean, I want to just come and go as I please. I don't want to have to worry about money at all. I want to be able to provide for my family, my parents, and everybody in my world, right? If they're really expressing what they want. But people start to get comfortable around these numbers, and they're just frequencies. They're just thought patterns. It's just information at a certain wavelength, right? That's all this is. All the information is out there. There's no such thing as new information. So even $500,000, $1 million a year, 5 million a year. And this is where some people start to disconnect. Well, 5 million a year. I mean, Warren Buffett makes $37 million a day. It's all relative. But since we grow up in a society, none of the teachers, none of the professors, nobody we interact with for the most part earns more than $250,000 a year. So they can't teach how to make 5 million a year or 5 million a month. But you start to get into network marketing, you start to see some signs of that. One of my friends, David Iamanetti, he's cracking 5 million a month. It's from a combination of things, but about 2.5 million a month is from network marketing. And he's in his mid-30s, right? So it's just levels of awareness. I really want this to sink in, and anybody can raise their level of awareness. That's what the Thinking and Results program does. It literally shows you how to raise your level of awareness over time, over and over and over again, to get what you want. And the way we do this is very simple, and you can write this down. You want to be studying something every day for your mind, right? Study something every day for your industry. That's why, like, I train with Eric Worre, be industry specific. I train with Bob because that's my industry. I used to train in construction. If you're in real estate, you should study somebody that's earning what you want to earn. So you study your vertical, you study your mind, and you take daily, measurable, trackable action. Simple, simple, simple 3-step thing. Step number 4 is to let go and let God, or surrender to the process. There's a time element to this, right? But if you're studying in your mind and you're studying in your industry and you're taking daily measurable action, this is what happens. You raise your level of awareness and we start to physically manifest the results. And then what happens, guys, is you hit your goal and you get there and you say, geez, I could have gone here, right? See, there is no such thing as big or small. There's only relativity. The earth itself is not big or small until you compare it or relate it to something like a golf ball or the entire universe. Does that make sense, guys? Put some fire in the chat or something. I just want to make sure we're not losing anybody here. I like to make sure that we explain this so that it really sinks in. Again, none of it's my opinion. There's a universal law of relativity. So if you think $1 million a year or $1 million a month or a week is a lot, then you probably will never achieve it, because your subconscious mind and your conscious mind have a double binding message. That's what a psychologist would call it, an XY vibration. You're literally pushing that away. But if you start to minimize $1 million a year, it's really not that big a deal, and especially in network marketing and in other industries, right? I mean, you can make money on TikTok, making TikTok movies. There's 15-year-old kids making, $500,000 a month doing this stuff. So there's a million ways to earn money if we're open, and if we understand that everything is relative. You got to start to minimize this stuff. And I'll give you one last example, and it's just to prove to you guys that you're all capable. You need to figure out what you want, but you're all capable. You were born with the right equipment, conscious, subconscious, and body, just like Bob, just like me, just like Angie, right? But do me a favor, type in the chat, what does this look like to you guys? What does this represent? Let's get the chats going here. What does this look like to you guys? It's not Angie's baby picture. Does this represent anything to you guys? Make sure I get the chat enabled here.
Come on, friends. What is it?
Growth, youth, yeah. Anything else? Some people say it's like a blank innocence. We get that one a lot. Blank slate. Possibilities. Yeah, this is you guys. This is you at your current income. This is also me at my current income. If you compare my income, if you relate my income to Warren Buffett's, I'm an infant, right? So this is us, and it's a state of innocence. The difference is, as we get older and older and older, we start to have limiting beliefs. We start to have self-image issues. A brand new baby has no fear. It'll crawl across a highway. There's no programs. There's no fear-based programs. There's no embarrassment programs. And it'll try anything, right? And we've all done this. And the reason why I bring up the baby scenario is to just show you this little baby, and a lot of you are probably parents, you know, when the baby was 2 months old, if you would have taken a pile of clothes and put the clothes next to the baby and said, okay, little Angie, get dressed. You know, Angie would have bobbled her head. She might have drooled a little bit, maybe put the clothes in her mouth or something, but she was not getting dressed, right? We would even use the word impossible here. It's impossible for a little 2-month-old. They can't even move their arms or legs. They're not aware of their motor skills, never mind putting clothes on. So what I want to say to you guys, and I saw some of you already, unless somebody here is sitting here naked, you figured out how to put your clothes on, or you figured out how to do the impossible at some point. Does that make sense? The difference now is you have limiting beliefs, decades of limiting beliefs given to you by other people over time that cause you to self-sabotage, self-doubt. Oh, I can't do that. Does that make sense? You didn't even choose those limiting beliefs. It was given to you by other people, given to you by society. But at some point, we have all done the impossible. Has anybody here ever ordered a pizza? Again, a 1-year-old baby can't even speak enough, maybe a 1-year-old, but they're probably not going to order a pizza, dialing the phone, understanding what the number is. It's impossible. But if you've ordered a pizza, you've done the impossible. It's just your level of awareness that rose over time. So I really wanted to hit home with that, because that's everything. It's not your intelligence level. It's not your ability to do it. It's only limiting beliefs given to you by other people over time. And that's what thinking in the results does. It shows you how to just break those down, ignore them, get on a different frequency, raise your level of awareness, and go after income, health, wealth, love, happiness, whatever you really apply it to. Here's another chart that I use to understand how we are all programmed, how we're all programmed from birth. We're programmed from birth, and Angie can relate to this, to look at results, right? Right from grade school, we're looking at our report card. And it's like, oh, Angie's a D student. And then the parents get upset and the teachers are upset and they call a conference and they make Angie feel bad because she's a D student. And she's not a D student. What it is in school is most of these kids do not relate to the material. They're bored out of their minds, right? Little math, little English, little history, little science. They're not finding out what the kid resonates with and teaching them that, like, you know, maybe working on cars or playing guitar or something that they might want to do, maybe video games, maybe YouTube channel, right? So we're not doing any of this stuff. So, but then what happens, we're programmed to look at results, and you guys are still doing this. You wake up in the morning, you look at your current bank account, excuse me. You might look at your current body, your current relationship, and you let the results cause your thinking. And if you're not achieving all that you want to achieve, there might not be good thoughts. This is why people get depressed. Now, that thinking sets up feelings in the body. Now, feelings is a word that we use to describe your conscious awareness of the vibration you're in. Some of you might be familiar with the law of vibration. That's what causes attraction. And the law of vibration just states that every physical thing in the universe is in motion. If you look at it under a microscope, all the little subatomic particles are in motion. So the law of vibration is describing feelings. So if you tell me you feel sad, what you're really saying is I am consciously aware that my mind-body connection is in a low vibration, a low frequency. COVID is also at a low frequency. That's why so many people are attracted to it. If you tell me you feel excited, like Angie, anybody that knows Angie knows she's in a high vibration all the time, or almost all the time, right? Her mind-body connection is in a high vibration. I don't just mean running around. I just mean you can feel it. It's energy. You can feel vibration. So that's what feelings mean. And feelings or emotions in the subconscious mind are what set up actions in the body. It's what causes your body to move or to procrastinate. So this is how we're programmed. And Bob calls this a self-fulfilling doom cycle. We're actually looking at the result or the effect instead of the cause. Now, what we teach you in thinking the results, and this is how the fraction of the 1% think in the world, we start with thoughts. It's not what exists, it's what could exist. It's not my current state, it's what state do I want it to be. And this is the difference. Now, this is a very simple chart, but almost nobody does this. You wake up in the morning and your thoughts on, number one, gratitude. You're thankful for what you have, and then where am I going? You're not looking at the current bank account. You're not looking at your current recruiting skills, your current team, your current anything. None of that matters. It only matters the energy set up by thinking, because this sets up new feelings or higher vibrations. Higher vibrations cause the body to move into different actions, and different actions cause new results. Now take a look at this for a minute. This is not rocket science. Doesn't this make sense? Geez, if I think different, I'm going to feel different. If I feel different, my body's going to move different. I'm going to call more people. My tonalities will change. My language will change. I'll just get new results. This is how you get new results. So this is how the 1% thinks. And this is exactly how we recondition you over time through thinking the results to really think like that. We're going to take this a little deeper here, guys, and really show you the crux of thinking and results. This is called the mind map. And you hear me, I keep talking about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind driving the body. This is how it works, right? And the subconscious mind, like I told you, is 1,000,000 times more powerful as a data storage center than the conscious mind. This is why you can't just have a fleeting thought of 7 figures a year in network marketing or any other career. It needs to be a dominant thought. But almost nobody knows how to get the thoughts from the conscious into the subconscious. That's exactly what we do in thinking the results. We show you how to get a conscious thought like, boy, I'd love to make 6 figures a month into the subconscious, because once it's here, the subconscious, just like speaking or walking, will drive the body to cause the results. Call the people, form the companies, try the new thing, whatever that is, doesn't matter. You'll start to attract the people, places, things, and circumstances into your life to create what I call a heavenly life. So again, guys, we're born in ignorance, right? Ignorance isn't a bad term, just means not knowing. I'm largely ignorant about almost everything except for, the mind and some mechanical things in construction, but by and large, there's infinite information. So ignorance is not a bad term. But here's what happens. We're kind of programmed to have worry and doubt and negative thinking from birth. And there's no fault here. It's not your fault. It's not your parents' fault. It's not the school system's fault. There's no blame. It just is. Over the centuries, society's kind of gotten off track about mechanics leading spirit instead of spirit leading mechanics. But we're programmed to have negative thinking. Oh, what if that doesn't work? What if it didn't work last time? What if I catch COVID? What if they foreclose on my house? We're kind of programmed to just think negative. And that negative thinking has to transmit to and through the body, from the conscious into the subconscious into the body. And this is what this looks like. Sustained negative thinking, or worrying, right, causes fear, which is an emotion. Energy and motion. It's an emotion in the subconscious mind, which is the emotional mind. And if that's held on to, it produces the physical form of anxiety. So if anybody here has ever had anxiety, this is why. You don't just start with anxiety. It has to come from worry and doubt about something. Could be your job, your family, your health, anything. And we don't even know we're doing this because it's programming. But this is the flow from thought, the thing, the physical form. It never goes backwards. And that anxiety, again, if you don't understand this stuff, leads to procrastination. This is why people in your team get all excited, jump into network marketing. They call 2 people. They go right through this process. They get some negative response, causes fear, anxiety, causes people to procrastinate. Does that make sense, guys? Mind blowing, yeah, Angie. It's good stuff. I wish I could claim it was mine. It's really good stuff. But this is what happens in your team, and maybe some of you guys. This is where procrastination comes from. And because we're born to create, right? Retirement is the dumbest idea I've ever heard of. What you want to do is find out what you love, get really good at it, and do that forever. Right? Bob's been doing this stuff. He's 87 years old. He's going to be on stage, and when he finally moves on to the next chapter, because he's doing what he loves. But at least in depression, if we're not creating, it's depressing. This is where depression comes from, most of it. It's very rare that a baby is born with depression. It does happen, extremely rare though. It's usually from something going on in the mom's life, or drug abuse or something like that. But depression is what leads to dis-ease, the body not at ease, right? So by and large, most depression comes from this cycle, this chain here. We're not usually born with this stuff. But the beautiful thing, when you look at this, anything that can be programmed into the subconscious mind can be programmed out. Now, the medical world, especially the Western medical world, doesn't understand this at all, which is why they prescribe tranquilizers and medications. I mean, it's a multi-trillion-dollar business. We don't really need any of that stuff when you understand the mind. You just need to know how to reprogram it over time. So if anybody here knows anybody with PTSD, we work with that stuff. PTSD, they should remove the D. It's not a disorder. It's post-traumatic stress, right? Which creates an instant paradigm shift that sets up a program in the subconscious mind, which causes them to feel the way they feel in their body. But we can absolutely rewire that. And it comes from knowledge. It comes from study and understanding. Positive thinking. People say, why are you so positive? Well, what's the choice? It's either positive or negative. There's no neutral about everything. So since we have choice, why wouldn't you think positive? There's so many good things that came out of COVID. And when I say that, people look at me cross-eyed, but the fact of the matter is there is. It's just that people aren't looking for it, right? We focus on the negative. But this positive thinking sets up a frequency of faith. And faith isn't just a religious term, although it can be. It's a frequency of mind. Faith is not wondering or hoping, it's a knowing. It's knowing if you get in harmony with the laws of God and nature that this must happen. I don't wonder about my company, selling for 21 billion, our software company. I know it will. That's what faith is. It's a frequency. If I do certain things in a certain way, it has to happen by law. And this is what we teach also as well. Again, not religious faith, but the frequency. It's a mindset. A good way to describe faith. Faith is the frequency of mind you need between a decision and a manifestation. So when somebody really decides to get to 7 figures in network marketing, you have to maintain a frequency of faith. If you hold a frequency of fear, you'll never make it. It's a low vibration versus a high vibration. And this faith leads to well-being and calmness, leads to acceleration, or a body moving, taking action. And when you're in this mode, it's a body that's at ease. And guys, I keep using network marketing because I know some of you here, it wouldn't matter if it was real estate, mortgages, doctor, lawyer. I work with all shapes and sizes, all different things, entrepreneurs from 18 to 80, all over the world. It matters not at all what you're doing. I'm just using that because I know some of you here in network marketing. All right, guys. So I know it's a little bit like sensory overload here, but play along with me. What does this picture look like to you guys? What does this represent to you guys? Does it look like anything? Anxiety? Absolutely. Excuse me. Dissonance. That's a large word. Overwhelm, chaos. Yeah, 100%, right? All these things. This is what fear looks like, right? This is what doubt looks like. This is what worry looks like. Now, worrying is like praying for what you don't want. I want you to write that one down. Worrying is praying for what you don't want. A lot of people think they're praying. They don't understand you're always praying. You can't not pray. It's just putting energy out with your mind. When they go to church on Sundays, they focus on, please give me this, which is actually not at all the way to pray. It's not a please give me thing. It's an understanding. It's a focusing. But most people do that, and it's not their fault. It's just generational ignorance. But when you're worrying, you're literally calling into existence the COVID, the bills, the foreclosure, the dis-ease. People worry about getting cancer and they attract it. So worrying is praying for what you don't want. And this is what it looks like in the mind, just so you get a representation. Now, this is not actually what it looks like, but imagine when you're sitting down trying to recruit somebody, and this is the frequency you're putting off because you doubt if they're going to come in. You're worried about what they think about you. What if they don't do it? Well, what if they do it? Right? So take a look at this picture. Take a look at this picture. What does this represent to you guys? What does this represent to you guys? Power? What else? Confidence, brilliance, success. I was hoping somebody would say success. I don't know that Steve Jobs was all that successful. Monetarily, he created a lot of things. He revolutionized a lot of industries, but he was a narcissist, right? He stepped on people. He didn't love on people. Nobody really loved him back. He ended up getting cancer at age 53. I don't know if you guys can guess why. And he really died kind of a miserable existence, never really understanding humanity. He certainly created a lot though. But what this does represent is faith. See, Steve Jobs didn't wonder if something was going to happen. He didn't ask your opinion or anybody else's opinion. He says, this will happen. And I have an iPhone right here in my hand. And when he said, I'm going to make an iPhone, the technology to create most of the parts didn't even exist. But that doesn't matter to somebody that understands creation. To like an Elon Musk. We're going to be on Mars. I don't know how, but I know we're going to. And they get on a frequency of faith. And that's what we need you guys to do. Whatever it is you're doing, you want to understand the frequency of faith and stop doubting yourselves. It's a huge piece of this. All right, guys. So one of the things that Bob says in 85 years, 87 now, he's trained millions of people now, either directly or indirectly. He's never seen anyone achieve success without a mentor and a proven system. Now, he's talking about success at a high level, not just a little bit of success. He's talking achievers. And it's been the same in my experience. So I don't use the word impossible, but after working with this many people, we've never seen anybody really make quantum leaps without another human being that's already done it and a proven system. And the proven system is thinking in the results. That's what it is. Bob spent the last 62 years creating it. And here's the real problem, right? We're born into generational ignorance. And again, there's no blame here. It's not your parents' fault or the generations before. Everybody's doing the best they can with the information they have. So we're taught by ignorant people and ignorant systems, and we're never taught how to live a healthy, wealthy, what I call a heavenly life. And if you reflect back, you'll realize this, right? It shouldn't take 12 years of education. We can teach somebody, 30 minutes a day and 1 hour a week over 6 months to understand billionaires. So the whole system is just flawed by not really understanding how people learn and not teaching something conducive to building a healthy, wealthy life. And the solution, again, is a mentor and a proven system. Now, guys, there's no big sales pitch here. I'm just going over what we do. Obviously, Angie's working with us, but there's not going to be any crazy pitch at the end. I just want to really highlight, what the Thinking and Results program is, why it's different. Right? No other program in the world is dealing with the mental programs causing a result. Nothing from Tony, nothing from Grant, Robert Kiyosaki, John Maxwell. They're all great trainers. They have very good mechanics and very good programs, but you got to get to the foundation first. You can teach real estate to your blue in the face. If people don't have the subconscious programs, they're not going to drive the body into action. So we all have mentors. I just signed up for a very high level mastermind myself last week. I'm constantly training. And Thinking and Results is really 12 lessons. And I'm going to go through this kind of quick. This is recorded. Lesson 1 is on the science of goal setting. This is what caused me at age 42 to set a goal of going from 1 million to 10 million in 12 months. That thought didn't even enter my mind before. So how would you ever achieve something if it doesn't enter your mind? And these people you're seeing here are actual clients of mine. A young gentleman by the name of Patrick Cochran, when he understood goal setting, he was 29 years old. He went from $500,000 to 5 million in 12 months in a roofing company. Went from a single location to multiple. Like, he was in Massachusetts. We said, where's the hot markets? He's like, well, Florida, Texas, like, why aren't you there? So that simple suggestion, he went to Florida, and they 10x in 12 months here. And his new goal is $1 billion, because there's no such thing as big or small. Nobody's even never done that in roofing, but that's what he's going after. Lesson 2 is the knowing doing gap. And what this really is the difference between having an idea in your conscious mind and getting it into your subconscious. That's what this is. That's what the gap is. If you can't get a program into the subconscious, your body's not going to do it. And a good friend of mine, Dr. Kenny Harless, he had a thriving medical practice, but same thing. That's one of the biggest paradigms they're in. Anybody in the medical industry, I'm a doctor. I said, you're not a doctor. That's what you just do for a living. You're a spirit living in a body. But he was so conditioned. He said, where am I going to replace the $500,000 in income? And I just showed him how. So he's in 2 months, he sold his practice. They sold their house. They moved from Michigan to Florida, and they're homeschooling their child. And he's now coaching. He's doing something he loves with no stress. But he was just he was in tunnel vision, right? He's like in a glass prison. You can't break free from a prison if you don't know you're in one. But that lesson there was the biggest thing he attributes to everything I just told you in a 2-month period. Lesson 3 teaches you about your infinite mind. We are all individual expressions of God, or what we call universal consciousness. You have a consciousness, and there's a universal consciousness. And when my little offspring here, Madison Rose, got a hold of this material in her early teens, she became a millionaire by age 24. And again, it's not all about the money. It's what the money can do for you. She's really crafted a dream life. She has her own little boutique businesses, multiple revenue streams, got a 6'5" stunning boyfriend that they're just madly in love. And she's earned 6 figures in a week, and it's not even that big a deal because she understands this stuff. Lesson 4 is all about your inner potential, going from the inside out. So lesson 3 is kind of understanding yourself. Lesson 4 is where we dig into the mind map. And a good friend of mine now, Kenny Coleman, when we met, he was 22 years old. He was only earning $2,000 a month. This dude sold his car to work with us. Think about that, 22-year-old kid, but he understood the traditional schooling system, that wasn't going to do it. And he understood what we knew. So he literally sold his car. And within a few weeks, we got him to $5,000 a month. And then within 4 months, he had his first 10K week ever. Right. So these are all real people. That's why I show you this instead of some, fake infomercial or something. Lesson 5 is on environment. And one of our, probably the biggest student we had with environment. Now, this girl was already earning 7 figures a year in network marketing, but it was starting to implode. She let her vibration drop because there was management changes in the company. And then her whole team started to tank and she lost almost all of the income. And then we taught her about not reacting to her environment. All that was is an environmental stimulus that she was reacting to instead of living from the inside out and leading. And we just showed her that one little thing, and she created a couple other revenue streams and got back on top. But this stuff can happen to anybody. If you don't know how you got to 7 figures, you're probably not going to keep it. It's going to be probably an up and down type of thing. That happened to me for the first years of my career too, up until, like I said, about age 40. Lesson 6 is on self-image and leadership. And a good friend of mine, Jaleesa, when she started to learn to live from the inside out, she calls it loving yourself. You should all love yourselves. That might sound a little cheesy, but really it's impossible to love anybody else or anything if you don't understand and love yourself. She was able to quit being a waitress. She wrote a book, and she's earned more than a week than she used to earn in a month. Obviously, as a waitress, it can be limiting. Lesson 7, I find, is one of the biggest lessons. That's what we kind of just went over, overcoming fear and procrastination. And when a good friend, Angie here, understood this lesson, she learned a lot about herself. She learned how to punch through. Some of you have been watching her journey, seeing her do some, what might appear to be some very crazy things, but they're not crazy. She's just following her heart. And she's really crafting a life, like what I call a heavenly life. And she's pursuing some dreams from over 10 years ago. So it's been really, really awesome to watch her grow. And I think that's one of the bigger lessons for her, that and environment. Lesson 8 is on praxis. It's aligning belief and behavior. So it's one thing to say, I want to get to 7 figures. In a belief, we got to align our actions. And Leslie Taylor, another dear friend of mine now, you notice that most of my clients become dear friends. It's awesome. But she was able to quit a 20-year career. So they got kids at home, her and her husband. Her husband's been quitting soon. And really just crafted a life, multiple revenue streams in sales and network marketing. And she's just calling all her own shots. Lesson 9 is on attitude and perspective. And this is a really, really powerful lesson, really powerful, because it teaches you how to change your perception of things. You heard when I said there's a lot of good things that came from COVID. That's a different perspective. That's a different perspective. It taught people to be families again. It's like, who are these strange people? Those are your children. You just haven't seen them until you were forced to stay home with them, So it taught people to be tighter. It taught companies that you don't need to go to an office to work. You can work remote, which means people had a quality of life where they could work from home. So there's a whole different ballgame when you change perspective. And Maurice, a young gentleman that works with us, 22 years old, he tripled his network marketing income. He was working at it for 2.5 years. And in 3 months, he made more money there. He added a couple of revenue streams. And he's got a young fiance. They're both working from home. They're talking about traveling the world. And he's just really applying this stuff. Lesson 10 is on the most valuable person. A lot of people misunderstand this one. It's really teaching you to be selfish. But the fact of the matter is you are the most valuable person. If you think your kids are, and a lot of people do, or your spouse or your family, that would be a mistake, because what you need to do is live from the inside out, become the higher, fuller expression of yourself. That's when other people will follow you. And a good friend of mine, Sherry, she quit a $250,000 a year job and turned down another $500,000 a year job. Everybody thought she lost her mind, to pursue her own business from home. Again, she's a single mom. She had a child at home, and she's homeschooling her child now, and she's crafting a life, again, that she's controlling. So anybody can do this, all walks of life. It doesn't matter your age, what you're doing, where you're living, really doesn't matter at all. Lesson 11 is the impression of increase. And this is one that I needed to learn. It's really the idea of leaving everyone better off than you found them. Every interaction at the grocery store, at the bank teller, your kids, your spouse, coworkers, everything. Imagine if every single interaction with every single person, you were thinking, how can I help this person? How can I leave them better off than I found them? You start recruiting from a whole different space. Instead of building your income, you're building a team. 2 completely different things. And a good friend of mine, Anthony Namaki, we helped his real estate company pass $1 billion. He's a very accomplished young man. He didn't understand that he was speaking Chinese to his team. He says, this stuff is common sense. And I said to Anthony, this stuff is not common sense. Is if I brought you down to the Tesla battery plant and asked you to design the next electric battery, you'd look at me cross-eyed. Is that's what you're doing to your team. You think it's common sense and you're speaking to them, but it sounds like Chinese. So he showed them to kind of live from their shoes. And I'm talking, these guys turned it around so fast. Him and his whole management team, they crushed past $1 billion. And the new goal is 10 billion. Again, it's not about the money. He needs to have about 1,000-person team. Right now, they're about 300. So there's 1,000 families he'll be helping when they get to that $10 billion goal. And lesson 12 is on the mastermind principles. This for me was one of the biggest ones. This is how we created multiple companies, learned to how to win friends and influence people, so to speak, and put people in harmony, love on people, understand how they think and act and operate, help me build multiple companies, set some big goals. And our biggest goal is to really change the world through this education. So guys, we're coming to the end of my rant here. I know it's been a lot of information. It is recorded. If anybody wants to talk about this a little deeper, to get involved, we usually do two-way interviews. We interview you and you interview us, ask questions. I ask you questions. There's my email address. Just shoot me an email and just reference Angie on there, or you can get back with Angie. She can get in touch with me. Like I said, there's no big sales pitch. This either resonates or it doesn't. And if it does, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. And if it doesn't, hopefully you get some value out of tonight's webinar. But I want you to imagine something, from this webinar moving forward. Imagine you did say yes, we do get on a call, and you got on the same path that Angie and I have gone down. And 6 months later, 12 months later, what are some of the things? Now, all these pictures here are in my vision book. So again, I obviously love things, but I love people too, right? It has nothing to do with the boat and the house. It has to do with the people that you have in the boat and in the house. It's the memories, right? It's all about that. No fun having a Ferrari and driving it yourself. You always want somebody else to, experience that with you. So just imagine where your life would be 3 months, 6 months, if you literally learned to think and act and operate like an Eric Worre or a Warren Buffett or a Steve Jobs. What we're doing when we work with somebody, and Angie can attest to this, is we put you into the mindset of millionaires and billionaires. We show you how they process the outside world and how they create. They turn that energy into create. They ignore the environment and they put things in motion. So either way, you're making a decision. People can decide to stay stuck, or you can decide to choose freedom and understand how people like Richard Branson think and act and operate. So I have Richard up here because he's my personal role model. I don't relate too much to Warren Buffett. He's very successful. I certainly don't relate to Grant Cardone, but Richard, I do. I mean, he's been loving on people his entire life, very spiritual, very philanthropic. He's a risk taker. He's an adrenaline guy, very, very spiritual. To me, he's done everything right. He just loves on people, and he's made billions of dollars doing it with his Virgin Records and Virgin Airlines and Virgin Cruises and Virgin Galactic. This is what I call freedom, buying your own island and then inviting all your friends down all the time. So guys, hopefully this has been of some value. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So if you would like to have a chat with us, there's my email. And Angie, I will leave it up to you to wrap it up.
Okay, so whose heart's going fast and you feel inspired and you want to go conquer the world right now? It's so fun. I love watching people's faces, because I know my friends. So I see Cassie absorbing it all, and she's taking all the notes, and she's going to be doing yoga headstands and processing all this. And then I see Renee ready to get on her computer and do all the things. But first of all, Brian, I can't thank you enough for your time. I mean, it's a very high value. So I'm so grateful that you took the time to do this. And for everybody here, I mean, like Brian said, this is just for hopefully you to receive value. But if you do in any way, shape, or form need support or guidance or anything, I cannot speak highly enough about this community. Steve's here, but there's so many people that were complete strangers. Laura, I can't imagine not knowing her now, but they were complete strangers, prior to joining this family. And I actually just said to Laura prior to this conversation, prior to this, we had a phone call earlier, and I was like, I've never felt family in a coaching program like I did with this. I came in on a Monday night and I was like, I'm home. So if for some reason you're just seeking that, I want you to know it's so beautiful. You'll feel that, you'll know that you're not number whatever, but you are you, and they genuinely want to see you succeed and will help you. So anyway, love you all. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's dinner time and back for kiddos and stuff, but you're here. So kudos to you. Whoop, whoop. But thank you so much, Brian, again, for everything. And
I'm happy to do it anytime, Angie, you know that. And I'm just blessed and honored to be here. Hopefully, if nothing else, you guys got some value. You can play the recording. I would advise you to play it over, take notes. There's a lot of paradigm shifting things in there that should be able to help you guys out.
Yeah, so excited to see what the future has in store. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you soon.
Be well, everybody. God bless.